Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee Sunday morning celebration. I am Rev Pam Brandman, the Senior Minister here at the Center, and it's my pleasure to welcome each of you here this morning. And whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, and we recognize that all of those paths end in oneness and in love, which is what we celebrate here. We are grateful that each of you is here with us this morning. So we begin our Sunday morning with our receptivity statement that you'll find here on our screen. Please read it along with me while everyone is muted. And so I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So our musician this morning is a practitioner, Rod Loomis. And Rod is he began his acting career in, of all places, the Army. And but once he graduated, he has a Master's of Fine Arts from Brandeis University and training at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. This prepared him for his long, successful career on the stage, in the movies, and on TV, many of which were sci-fi classics, right? And becoming a religious science practitioner, fine-tuned his connection to spirit, and as a source of vitality and inspiration. And I think Rod always says, if you call him on his message machine, it says, whatever the question is, the answer is love. And that is so true. So help me welcome Rod Loomis.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think it's time for us to accentuate the positive, don't you? You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. You've got to share joy up to the maximum. Bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith, or pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? They said we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with that Mr. In Between. Here's a little interlude, musical interlude. Take it. Clap your hands, folks. Oh boy. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Man, they said we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with that Mr. Don't mess with that Mr. Don't mess with that Mr. In Between. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Rod.
You're welcome.
Well, I think if we're going to prove something, that's our topic today. We want to prove something positive, not negative. You can go both ways. So Well, our practitioner this morning is Brenda Heldoorn. And we are grateful that Brenda was able to make it back to the US after her recent trip to Puerto Vallarta when she had a false positive test for COVID before she planned to board her flight home. She put her science of mind principles and practice into practice, and with the assistance of prayer, Spirit's guidance, our ministry of prayer practitioners, and some phone and internet help from her husband who was able to fly home, she safely made it home with grace, with ease, and only one day late. So please help me welcome Brenda Heldoorn to provide our special reading and invocation this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. Today's the last Sunday of January, and the theme this month has been Living Everyday Wonder. And so today's talk is entitled Prove It. And so the special reading comes from the January Science of Mind magazine, and it's an article that was written by Marilyn Leo. And it's titled The Power of Affirmations. What is an affirmation? It is any thoughts or words that say yes to life. For instance, you get out of bed in the morning and stumble over a shoe you left in the middle of the floor the night before. That dumb shoe, hopefully you did not take a fall, but it sure wasn't a great way to begin the day. Next, you get in the shower and it seems to take forever for the blankety-blank water to get hot. Next, where's the towel? The toast burns, the coffee takes forever to percolate or drip. It can be, or you can change what happens next. And now you are in a hurry. Rush, rush, rush. What's next? This is not a good morning. Is this a sign of the whole day ahead? In another household, you may stumble over a shoe and wonder how it got there. Oh yes, the new puppy must have found your shoes and decided to bring it to you to play with or get attention. You smile and give him a pet. You know the water takes a couple minutes to heat up, so you turn on the faucet and put a towel close by for when you get out of the shower. By then, your hot shower lovingly awaits you. Your coffee is on automatic start and is ready for you. You are calm, rested, and ready to start the day. If the toast burns, you readjust the toaster and begin again. If it's your last piece of bread, you find something else to replace toast for your breakfast. It's a beautiful day, and you look forward to whatever life brings you. There is no rush. What is the difference? Both days began by stumbling over a shoe. The difference is the attitude and the affirmative thinking of goodness. And yes, the first illustration can be changed. As soon as you realize that everything seems to be amiss, stop. Affirm a different outlook, a different attitude. Rather than, this is going to be one of those days, begin immediately to change with a few thoughts. I accept my good this day. I am calm, rested, and look forward to the beauty and loving experiences awaiting me. I am grateful for all of it. Affirmations work because we believe in them. If you speak words you think are just nonsense, then that will be the response, and your day will continue to present roadblocks at every turn. But when you have a true feeling of desired adjustment, commanding life to express for your highest good, there will be movement in your life toward greater joy. You may ask how a few words can create a change in your day. When you become conscious of what your day is becoming, and you decide that is not the day you want to experience, then you can change your mind. It may sound like a cliche, but as we teach in Science of Mind, change your thinking, change your life. I also say that when you change your thinking, your life will automatically change. You can't help it. You may ask, how is this possible? Without going into scientific speculation, you can prove it for yourself. When you have a change of mind with an expectation of good, the chemistry of your body will change. Your life will change. There are many additional factors, such as love, forgiveness, acceptance, and gratitude. But changing a thought is a positive beginning. Over my 86 years of living, I have had more than my share of missteps through illnesses, marriages, and unthoughtful mistakes because of what I wasn't thinking. Fortunately, I survived and thrived because science of mind and creative, thoughtful thinking. My life today is filled with love, joy, gratitude, and a greater acceptance of good. Thank you, Marilyn Leo, for that wisdom. And so we'll take a breath and remember. Bring into our consciousness the one truth that supports all truth. That there is just one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. Bringing my mind back into the consciousness of oneness with the one. I can breathe in the truth that God and I are one. And then what is there to fear? There is no truth. And it all disappears back into the nothingness from which it came. Each of us are called to remember the truth of who we are. And so from this place of knowing that there is just one life and all intelligence, truth, beauty, joy, peace, and above all love flows from this source and flows into my life and into the lives of all beings. And from this place, I affirm beauty, peace, and joy. I affirm truth and love into all of my affairs. I affirm these attributes into each interaction I have with another being. And so I know that today, each one that is here, present for this gathering of our community, and all of those that experience this gathering at another time through our recordings and sharing, each one is reminded of this truth. Each one is invited to affirm all of these qualities and attributes of spirit into their lives, therefore receiving the gift of a transformed life, a life that expresses as joy, as love, as beauty, truth, and peace. When I just relax, I let God be God in me. I release my word to the law, knowing that it is already returned fulfilled. And I give thanks. And all is well. And so it is. Now I'd like to invite Rod back for another song.
I will be. I am one of many with just one life to live. The gifts I have, great and small, I give them all. I give. Simply, truly, from my soul, I give. Here I am, a vessel to be used. Whatever spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Here I stand, my heart is here to serve. Wherever love is leading me, I will go, I will go, I will go. With open heart, I love. With open mind, I know the truth within me. With open eyes, I see the gift unfold. I give this open hand for you to hold. Here I am, a vessel to be used. Whatever spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be. Whatever spirit needs of me, I will be, I will be, I will be.
Thank you, Rod. Whatever spirit needs, I will be. That's a pretty high aspiration. How do we evolve to that point where we are ready to give ourselves wholeheartedly to Spirit's call? So let's talk about that this morning. And so, okay. Today is the last Sunday in January, and this is the last talk in this series called Living Everyday Wonder. And we've talked about seeing the wonder of God, of the divine in everything. We open our hearts and embrace the wonder in the now, the present moment. And by questioning everything in that Next week, we learn to see through the appearances of limitation to the higher possibilities, to that higher calling. And so today, our focus is how do we manifest these higher possibilities in our lives? We prove it. We prove it. So what good are all these spiritual principles of oneness and wholeness and love and peace, or that divine intention and promise for our lives? But what if we only talk about them and never experience them? Right? It's all in our heads. It's all an illusion. Talk, talk, talk. Well, the answer is that when we practice using spiritual tools and principles in every aspect of our lives every day, our life transforms, and so does the world. Life flows easier, choices are cleared, seeing miracles are seemingly everyday occurrences. And this seems like a beautiful promise of hope. But is it real? Can we prove it? Really? One of the Old Testament prophets was Malachi. And so the Jewish temple in Jerusalem had been built in 516 BC, but less than 100 years later, the people were not following the spiritual laws in their worship or daily activities. And so Malachi challenged the people to honor God properly with this promise that's in this next slide. He said, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse," speaking for God, "that there may be food in my house. Test me in this," said the Lord God Almighty. "See if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." Test me in this, says the Lord God Almighty, or in other words, prove this spiritual principle by trying it out and seeing the results. Thank you, Karen. And so tithing, which means a tenth of our income to whatever feeds us spiritually, is a spiritual principle that maintains our gratitude and connection with God as our source. Now, another spiritual principle is oneness, that all people are all part of that one life that is God, and that there is no other, there is only one life. One more spiritual principle is that we are made in the image and likeness of God as goodness and love. This is our true nature. Regardless of the appearance, this is who we truly are in our heart of hearts. Now in science, in this next slide, science is based on provable scientific laws that govern our universe. And so Isaac Newton watched an apple fall, or at least legend says that it fell on his head, so he had to notice it. And he formulated the law of gravity as he contemplated this phenomena of the apple falling to the earth. And he did some mathematics, but he repeated it again. He expanded that in theory, and he proved that the intangible law of gravity also keeps people firmly planted on the ground. The visible results of his experiments demonstrated that his hypothesis about gravity was true. Thank you, Karen. Now, spiritual laws and principles seem even more intangible, but they are just as true and provable. Now, we can prove spiritual laws by experimenting and seeing if they do or do not work, right? Now, Ernest Holmes was a practical person who wanted people to put the science of mind and spiritual principles into use, not just think about them as intangible concepts. In the Science of Mind textbook chapter in this next slide, there's a chapter called How to Use It. And Holmes wrote, "One of the greatest difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice." You know, he was a very practical person. "As a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. That which we cannot prove may or may not be true. But that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth." And later Holmes goes on, "It is easy to rush about shouting that there are no sick people, but this will never heal those who appear to be sick. It's easy to proclaim that there are no needy, anyone can say this, whether he or she be wise or otherwise, but if we are to prove such statements to be facts in our experience, we shall be compelled to do more than announce a principle, no matter how true it is. So this is why Holmes called his textbook The Science of Mind. Now, when something's scientific, people can acquire, according to the dictionary, systematic knowledge by observation and experimentation. Right? If we just talk about spiritual principles and the wonderful divine qualities of love, peace, joy, wisdom, and beauty, like that Brenda was naming in her prayer treatment this morning, it might be an uplifting intellectual experience, but the results will only be short-lived. If we wanted to really make a difference in our lives, we need to do something more. If we just talk about it, it can only be a spiritual bypass, perhaps, or spiritual malpractice, some people call it. If we just continue to live our lives with the sadness, fear, anger, or poverty, these beliefs, that these expectations are what forecast what is going to be happening in our lives. What calls to us our experience. Just like in the reading that Reverend Marilyn Leo put together. I mean, she's this. We've heard her at some of our events, and she knows that with just a change, just a shift in her attitude about what's going on, she can shift her whole day, and thereby her whole life, right? And she's done it. Now, in the next slide, we look at the scientific method. And so in the method, when we have something we want to know or understand or change, we first observe it. And then we do some research on that topic area and formulate a hypothesis about what's making it happen, right? Then we test that hypothesis with the experiment, and it proves to be true or not true. We analyze the data to see what the results were. We don't just assume this is going to be the results and have a self-fulfilling prophecy. No, we look at the actual results and report those conclusions and then make an observation. Was that hypothesis true or not? And that's the basic scientific method. And we can use this for these spiritual principles as well. So if the hypothesis, the spiritual principle is true, then this happens. And if it's not true, well, then something else is going to happen. So if the law of gravity is true, then the apple will fall to the ground when it's dropped. And when we jump up, we will come down to the ground. Now, it's a progressive learning process through trial and error. It's not something that we, in our conscious minds, know instantaneously the answer. So we use this to discover the physical laws and principles, and similarly, we can discover the spiritual principles in the same way. We discover the spiritual truth that's underlying every situation. In the Centers for Spiritual Living, we put into practice the spiritual principles that govern our lives. Rather than just talking about spiritual principles, we want to apply and practice those spiritual principles in our relationships, in our work, in our finances, and throughout our lives, everything, right? Now, one of the spiritual principles we teach in Science of Mind is change your thinking, change your life. And Marilyn Leo was talking about that in her reading. And it's easy to say, but if we don't actually change what we think about or our beliefs and our expectations and our behaviors, we will continue to stay locked in our old habits and experience the same old thing over and over again. So change your thinking, change your life is more than just an empty affirmation. You have to say it with conviction and be willing, important, be willing to let go and let God change your life. Your beliefs, your thoughts, your reactions, your actions. And that's not easy because the comfort zone that we're in, even if it's not that great, it's comfortable. We know what to expect. And so when we're reaching out into the unknown, we're reaching out into the infinity of spirit and going out on a journey that's can be scary sometimes. And maybe sometimes we don't have it perfectly right yet, and it won't be this great, our great hope won't be perfect yet. But that's what trial and error is about. And that's why we want to listen to spirit to, make our best shot at making the next step the right one. Now, so Marilyn Leo talked about if you wake up and trip over a shoe in the middle of the floor, we can choose, is it the beginning of a bad day and a series of unfortunate events? Or do you ask a different question? What is the divine possibility? And realize that your new puppy that you love very much just wants to play and dropped your shoe as an invitation. There is something, whatever looks to be like, with my wrist, it's like I did not, I could have listened to spirit talking to me and not tried to go out into the storm, as Michael tried to tell me, but I did get the pause that I needed to stop and think. And so I'm not, given all that I'm going through for this pause and this learning, I'm trying not to waste it. So when you change your thinking and change your behavior by planning ahead to co-create with God a good day. So Marilyn talked about having a warm shower by turning on the water and waiting, planning to wait. Getting a coffee maker with an automatic timer, and having plenty of time to prepare and enjoy a nutritious breakfast, not rushing. So we can prove it. This is the challenge and the fun of dealing with spiritual laws. Life is not set in stone. We can change our lives. We can experiment to see for ourselves if this spiritual principle is true and not just blindly following what some other person tells us is true. We can figure it out on our own, try it on our own, or what we have always assumed is true. It's between us and God, that conversation. So when we have a situation we want to change, we investigate it. It could be a relationship in our family or at work. It could be something about anger or blame that keeps us stuck in the past with what seems like an unforgivable situation or something extremely sad, grieving perhaps. We can ask questions of spirit and see what other possibilities exist. There's universal wisdom that can reveal new perspectives that we have not seen before. What is that positive that we can accentuate, as Rod sang about this morning? So with practice, we can learn to discover spiritual laws that have been governing our experience. If we know a law is true, then we can use that law to support us to succeed. We can see also how that same law was holding us back. It was our misuse of that law. It's like swimming upstream. Once you figure out which way the river's flowing, it's a whole lot easier to move faster. And maybe, and actually, if you're sailing, when the wind is coming, you can sail into the wind if you know how to tact back and forth, right? Maybe we're just sitting still and expecting God to do everything without us doing our part to change our experiences. But, we're in a physical world and God works through us to change our lives. We have to listen and be willing to act, right? Now, there's a funny story about a young man named Johnny, and he wants to get healthier. So he joined the gym, and this was a great gym package because it came with 3 free sessions with a personal trainer. So Johnny's really exciting at that first meeting with the trainer. The trainer listens to Johnny's goals very carefully, and he helps him create his plan. He shows him some exercises to get started. So Johnny was, oh, this is great. He's paying attention. He's taking notes, and so Johnny left the gym feeling excited, right? So a few weeks later, Johnny met with the trainer again, and the trainer gave Johnny some more exercises, maybe a couple of classes that were offered at the gym that he might like, right? And he talked about a few nutrition changes that Johnny could make that would also enhance his health, right? And so a few weeks later, at the 3rd session, Johnny complained to his trainer that he just wasn't seeing the results that he hoped for. So the curious trainer asked, he asked him a few questions. Well, what classes have you taken? Well, no, I haven't taken any yet, Johnny said. Well, what dietary changes have you made? None. So out of all the exercises I showed you, which one do you do the most often? Wait, Johnny was starting to get the idea. You mean I actually have to do the exercises? Johnny exclaimed in disbelief. So we can laugh at this story because it's so obvious to us, but how many times do we do the same thing and expect our whole lives to change without doing the exercises or taking the aerobics class or make changes to our diet? We won't see the physical results that we want. I started occupational therapy this week, and so I've been doing the exercises, and my hand is much more flexible, and it can't really move that far, but it is better than when I started. And I when I think of that, I think of Nancy. She went through it all those months of just being totally immobilized when her sweet husband took care of her so well with TLC. But here she is out riding her bicycle and having a great time. And Carol already, she's even started therapy with her knee. So we have to do what's asked of us. And it's not always easy. It's a little painful to move it, but just a little bit better, a little bit stronger every day. The same is true of our spirituality. So the trainer can tell Johnny what to do and teach him how to do the exercises, but unless Johnny gets involved and takes on the responsibility to learn those new ideas and new exercises, unless he changes his thinking and habits, his body will not transform. His life will not transform. So now we learn what works and doesn't work through trial and error and through practice. Jim Eastman was sharing with, or Eaglesmith, was sharing with Carol this morning what he learned in his experience about therapy when someone's going through therapy and heat and cold compresses. And so it's just like Malachi was exhorting the Jewish people to follow the spiritual laws, including tithing in that example, then we will experience the consequences of our action, depending on whether or not we practice the spiritual laws. It was very simple in his mind, and he really earnestly wanted his people to change. Right? It broke his heart to see what was happening. So when we pull this together, practice is the way that we discover and prove whether or not spiritual laws are true and have them work in our lives. Ernest Holmes was very clear when he concluded the Science of Mind textbook with these words in our next slide. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. So how does one get to Carnegie Hall? Thank you, Karen. By practicing. How does one demonstrate a principle? By proving it. How does one live spiritually? By practicing and proving it. 12-step groups continue to be very popular because they transform their lives. Their members work the 12 steps. You can attend, but if you work the 12 steps, that's when the real changes happen in people's lives. There's a unity minister named Edwina Gaines that wrote a book called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. And it's a very moving story about how she moved from being a single mom who was struggling just to feed her daughter to a life of abundance and practicing and teaching those 4 spiritual laws of prosperity. She's an amazing speaker if you've ever heard her. In the Centers for Spiritual Living, we see lives transformed when people take responsibility for their spiritual growth, when they listen to Spirit's guidance and practice applying those spiritual principles and practices in their lives. Next slide. In the summer of 1959 at Asilomar, Ernest Holmes gave his Sermon by the Sea, and this was traditionally the last sermon on Sunday morning before the group went home. And this was also the last summer that Ernest Holmes would be at Asilomar before he passed in 1960. And a beautiful talk that he gave. But one of the lines that's repeated over and over again is, find me 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it and live it as it is. And I'll myself live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here. This is our CSL vision, a world that works for everyone. Each one of us is called to practice the spiritual principles and tools. This year, over the next 11 months, as we go through our annual theme of living everyday wonder, we're going to be practicing that in every area of our life. In our life laboratory, we will have opportunities to experiment with some practical spiritual tools. It will be a life adventure that's filled with awe, wonder, curiosity, and inquisitiveness. In February, we begin with the inner life. And so with practice, we can prove these principles and experience the life of love, joy, and peace that is the divine intention for each one of us. So enough talking. Let's prove it and take it to prayer. So in this stillness, we feel the peace settling upon us. And we lift up our eyes to the hills from whence cometh our strength. And we envision a world that works for everyone, that divine intention. And so we let go and seek divine guidance for how that can be achieved. We remember first that God is all there is. There is one light that extends from one end of the universe to the other, the Alpha and the Omega. This life is perfect, whole and complete. This life is my life. This life is your life. We are one in the life that is God. There is no separation. We open our minds and our hearts to discover, understand, and apply the spiritual principles and practices in our lives. And as we do, the power and presence of the infinite divine transforms our lives and demonstrates its intention of expressing love and compassion everywhere. We prove the spiritual laws that set us free to be our highest self. We learn to live in harmony and peace. When we see aspects of our lives, when we struggle with fear, confusion, disappointment, or opposition, we learn to change our thinking without resistance and let God change our life. We learn to see that spiritual truth that is always there beneath life's illusions and to release any beliefs that are holding back divine's highest and best intentions for us and for all people. All people. We practice living in alignment with the spiritual principles. Our lives become full of wonder and joy with love and peace, which we share with all the world. We want for nothing. Life is good beyond measure. Our hearts open wide with gratitude to embrace the beloved, the infinite invisible, our source, our guide. And so we let go and let God make it so. And together we say, and so it is. Well, we have one more wonderful song from Loomis. Make me an instrument of thy peace. You know, the world is seeking peace now. We had a beautiful peace meditation last Sunday that Reverend Barbara Leger read. And Brenda's peace meditation this morning before service also grounded us in that divine peace. And so Rod Loomis shares with us the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, make me an instrument of thy peace. Rod?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Reverend. I'm trying to get the full screen here. And okay, so we'll stay with this. Okay, good. I'm very blessed with my musical associate, David Trawley, who created this song from the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. And so I'd like to leave you this morning with this song to take to your hearts. One second. There we go. Where it is dark, may I bring light, and where it is hate, let me sow love. In a world filled with doubt, may I show faith, a guide through despair, a beacon of hope. Make me an instrument, make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace, of your peace. Guide me to give pardon for pain, and where sadness is found, may I bring joy. May I seek to console, to understand, and to share your great love without demand. Make me an instrument, make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace, of your peace. I do receive, and in pardoning my spirit set free. For in dying I'm born again, born again into eternal life. Make me an instrument, make me an instrument, make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Of your peace. Amen.
Thank you, Rod.
Mhm.
And so we move into our next part of our service, which is our prosperity time with gratitude for all the gifts that we've been given. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source for our center and for each one of us as individuals. So your gifts for conscious giving are an opportunity for you to be a part of carrying out our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. We want to support spiritual transformation in our world by sharing the science of mind, spiritual principles and practices, and our experiences of love and wholeness. So we're most grateful for your donations and for your continuing commitment of support for our center. And if you've turned in your 2022 pledge, please come to the office and pick up our gift to you of your CSL 2022 theme journal. And if you are distant, we have a new administrator this week who's starting on Monday. Yay, a Savannah app. And so she'll be sending out the journals to our distant members. So we thank you. But for this morning, please hold your offering and your pledges over your heart and repeat with me our prosperity affirmation. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me, blessed and multiply. And so it is. And so we bless all of these gifts, knowing that they are from God. They have been, we have received, freely we give with gratitude and with love, because God shares with us with gratitude and love and expresses itself in all of its goodness. The power and presence of God is always here to guide us, to love us, to support us, and enrich our lives, our relationships in every way. All is well, and so it is. And here is our offertory. If you would sing along with me. While we're all muted, of course.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need.
Now that I'm unmuted, so I want to thank you all for being with us this morning. And I welcome you. If you're not already on our newsletter, please, you can add your name in the chat And also, we've fixed our website and our newsletter. So now, when you there's a place to sign up on both of them where you can directly get yourself into the website. And some of the problems people have had getting onto the website or getting onto the newsletter mailing list have been fixed. So anyway, so give it a try if you've been struggling. And as I said, we've got a new office administrator starting, Savannah App, and she's an answer to prayer. She's got all the skills that we want in office management, bookkeeping, organizing volunteer teams and events, social media, and even videos. So she's going to be uploading our recordings and get us caught up on that, which we've gotten behind. So looking forward to all the things that she can do to support our center. I also want to thank Shirley Nelson and Penny Scholler, who came in this week to help us organize some stuff inside our center and to spruce it up a little bit, because the bank's inspector came by to do work on the evaluation for our mortgage refinance. So that's moving forward. And then I also want to thank Karen Heine for hosting us this morning on Zoom, and Kalina Kiko for another beautiful newsletter. And of course, Rod and Brenda for their contributions this morning. And a great morning. Now, also right after service today, please join us on Zoom for hospitality. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Brenda, who is going to share our other announcements.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Pam. So like you said, just right after service today, we'll stay on Zoom for some hospitality so that we can just connect with each other and chat. We have a slide, I believe, Karen. You can find these announcements and the Facebook and Zoom links in our constant contact. So videos of our Sunday services are recorded. So now that we have Savannah in the office, we'll resume uploading the recordings to our YouTube channel by noon on Monday. And so links will also be provided from our website and from the Facebook page. So invite your family and friends to watch our Sunday talks live via Zoom, or they can review the recordings on our YouTube channel and the Facebook page. Okay, and definitely check out our updated website, Awaken to Your Spiritual Magnificence. So next week, our Sunday service will be on Zoom again. We'll be on Zoom continuing through the month of February. And we'll begin February's theme, which is Living Everyday Wonder, the Inner Life. Next Sunday's talk will be entitled, Can I See the God in Me? And Reverend Pam will be back. Carol Dalbon will be there, our practitioner of the day, and the musician will be a surprise. So now that we have an office administrator, our office will be open on Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So thank you. And so all of our ongoing CSL drop-in classes are back in session with Zoom links provided in the weekly Constant Contact newsletter. Chris Worcester's Tai Chi online class continues on Thursdays. Sorry, Chris, murdered that. Mary McEnany and Penny Scholler's online Thursday meditation continues with energizations, exercises at 4:30, and a meditation from 5 to 6 p.m. Sue Pipel is back from vacation, so her book study, A Course of Love, resumes on Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. And I know drop-ins are welcome on that class as well. So thank you all.
Have to unmute. And so it's great to have help with the announcements, but I have to remember to unmute. But anyway, I want to remind you that we have our wonderful practitioners that are here to serve you. Brenda Heldoorn was our practitioner of the day. And we also have Dr. Michael Brandman is here. Nancy O'Neill is here, Carol Dalbon, who's going to be on next week. And I'm also a practitioner. So if you need prayer and spiritual guidance and proving some of these spiritual laws, please give us a call this week. And we're going to, we have our children's slide that we welcome and bless our children. If you would read along with me. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God. And we know that God is guiding us to create the perfect program for these wonderful children that are a part of our community and are being attracted to this powerful teaching that we have. We'll be closing with an affirmation. And Karen, let's just have one verse of the song because we're running a little bit long. So if you guys would repeat with me, but we'll go back to the affirmation first. So I become what I practice. All right, and now the song. Okay, I think you need to share your sound.
You are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
Thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope you have I don't hope, I know you're going to have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you all for being here.